Hey everyone, Lewis aka Spider-Man 1991 here with my review for the Wonder Woman movie. Alright, and yeah, I know it's July and the movie came out the second day of June, but I was pretty busy the month of June and I didn't have a lot of time available to film videos. So I'm doing this right now to talk about Wonder Woman. So just a heads up, I am going to talk about spoilers, so if you haven't seen this movie yet, what's wrong with you? It's awesome. Go see it. Okay, so in short, I love this movie. It was very refreshing given Warner Brothers' track record with a lot of the DCU films. A lot of them have been very dark, but fortunately Wonder Woman is a lot more lighter. Well, lighter isn't the word, but it's more hopeful. Let's leave it at that. Let's go with that. Also, what I think probably one of the best superhero movies I've seen, and I'm probably putting it in my top 10 list now. And also, this is gonna be I loved Man of Steel, but I gotta be honest, I think I love this movie even more than that one. So let's talk about why I thought this movie was good. Okay, the first reason why I was really excited for this movie is because of Gal Gadot. Now, she was one of the good things that I loved about Dawn of Justice. And in fact, I'm pretty sure her performance surprised a lot of people. Because she wasn't really anyone's first choice of Wonder Woman, to be Wonder Woman. In fact, Zack Snyder was the one who cast her. So, saying Zack Snyder did, this is probably what a lot of people say was the one good thing Zack Snyder did at the DCEU. I'm not that critical about it again because I love Man of Steel. But okay, back to the point. Gal Gadot, she is perfect. She is awesome as Wonder Woman. The way that she portrayed the character in Dawn of Justice was pretty cool, but in this movie she got to be Wonder Woman for the entire time. And this isn't Wonder Woman that we saw in Dawn of Justice. No, this is a Wonder Woman that is just like basically fresh off the boat, so to speak. And she does a good job in this movie. I think in the beginning when she arrives in man's world, when portraying Diana's innocence at the world, and she also does see the show, and she also is more concerned about helping the innocent wherever she can rather than just dealing with the big issue. I mean, yeah, she obviously does want to stop Ares, but along the way, when they're passing through a village and they find out that German soldiers have occupied it, Diana wants to stop and help the people while Steve Trevor's saying, come on, we gotta keep moving, but Diana stops so that she can help the people and liberate the village. Also, Gal Gadot, she did a lot of the fighting and stunt work beautifully. It did feel like a Wonder Woman comic coming to life, which was amazing. Also, she had great chemistry with her co-star, Chris Pine, who portrays Steve Trevor, and I think that's what made this relationship believable for a lot of people. Pine's portrayal of Steve Trevor, I didn't really have a problem with. He's actually very entertaining. Trevor isn't, this version of Steve Trevor, he isn't what you think he'd be. He's not macho or chauvinistic. He's actually more cautious. That would be the way to describe him, because he thinks that a lot of the things that Diana does are a little dangerous, but he's still willing to go along with it in order to help her and make sure that she's fine. Because I remember after when Diana says that she's going to the front line, Steve tries to stop her and he says, "Look, I'm going to go with you," and he puts on the lasso of truth just to say, like, "Look, I'm going to go with you to help you. We are probably going to die," which was funny. But yeah, he wants to protect Diana, not just because he, not because he thinks he's better or in a way to belittle her, but he just wants to do it because he knows that Diana can do good for the world and he doesn't want anything to happen to her. And I would honestly say that Steve Trevor is sort of the opposite of Chris Pine's version of Captain Kirk in the Star Trek movies, because whereas his Captain Kirk is more impulsive and gung-ho and a little bit arrogant, Trevor, on the other hand, is a bit more cautious, strategic, and of course obviously the main difference is that Kirk is a captain, a showman, and Trevor is more of a spy and definitely sneak going through the shadows rather than dive straight in. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the story. So, one thing I loved about the story was how it used World War I instead of World War II. I think that was that's a nice little break. Even though Diana was first appeared during World War II during the golden age of comics, I think World War II has really been used a lot, and it is a very important historical event. But you kind of see it so much in movies that, you know, choosing another event like World War I think is a nice change of pace and a way to break the mold or anything. Also, I liked how the way they sort of set up the God Killer arc. Of course, from what we see in the trailers, there's a sword called the God Killer, and a lot of DC Comics fans, myself included, recognize that name from the last Deathstroke volume written by Tony Daniel about a sword Slade Wilson acquires from Hephaestus known as the God Killer, and I'm pretty sure that's what we all thought of. But then when Diana finally confronts Ares and Ares just destroys the sword, we find out that the God Killer isn't the sword, it's actually Diana herself. And the reason is because Diana is a demigod, half Amazon, half daughter of Zeus. And I liked how they used that to sort of introduce the idea that Diana is the daughter of Zeus, and the only way Ares could be killed was by another god, or I guess demigod in a way. Also, and you know, they did also say that at the very beginning of the movie, Hippolyta, Diana's mother, tells her that, you know, she was made from clay, and that's the version that I think a lot of people know about, the general audience knows about Wonder Woman. But then, you know, we got to the introduction of the new origin that came out of the New 52, that she's the daughter of Zeus. Now, I also want to bring up the reveal of Ares in this movie, about who Ares really is. And shocker, he is not General Ludendorff. Yeah, basically we have the two main antagonists of this movie, well, of the war, really, are German General Ludendorff and, of course, his top scientific advisor, Dr. Poison, aka Dr. Moreau. And of course, the whole idea in this movie is kind of like implying that Ludendorff is Ares, and also Dr. Moreau makes some sort of special gas that does sort of give Ludendorff super strength whenever he inhales it. And of course, then by the third act, though, we get the reveal that after Diana kills Ludendorff, it turns out, hey, he's not Ares. Hey, it turns out it's actually, shit, I forgot that character's name. I didn't write it down. What's his name? He played Professor Lupin in Harry Potter, okay? It's actually Professor Lupin. I'm just gonna go with that because I've got to write the name down, okay? Don't sue me for that. Anyways, it turns out Professor Lupin, who's trying to lead the armistice, is actually Ares the whole time. And it turns out Ares is sort of isn't responsible for the war. He's actually playing the long game. First, he pretty much whispers in humans' ears about weapons of mass destruction and battle strategies that, you know, he basically gives them the tools and says, here you go, this is how you can harm people, but I'm not going to tell you to use them. You know, you want to use them, that's all your choice, man. And also, he masquerades as political figures in order to set up armistices that would be very difficult to keep and pretty much just build up humanity's anger at each other until finally, boom, big war, and they wipe each other out. Now, I gotta be perfectly honest. I didn't really think Ludendorff was Ares. It just, I don't know, it was too obvious. That you see this trope a lot in not just superhero movies, but I think movies in general, where you have an antagonist that's pretty much portrayed as like, oh, hey, this is the guy responsible, yeah, it's all him. But then you get like a third act twist that's like, oh, it's not him, it's actually this guy who was pretending to be a good guy the whole time. Ooh, like, I feel like I see that too much now that it's basically predictable. But other than that, the reveal, but I think for people who don't see a lot of movies, I think the Ares thing did get them by surprise. And also, making Ares not directly responsible, but sort of playing this long game was a good idea. But honestly, I don't really have any problem with Ares as the main villain for a Wonder Woman movie. I think that using the God of War is a good way to tie it into Diana's new origin of being the daughter of Zeus. And, you know, a really big threat like that being the reason why Diana leaves Paradise Island is also a good idea too. Not just making it like any standard threat, but like Ares. And of course, at the beginning of the movie, it does establish that when Ares went rogue and tried to kill everyone, the gods did stop him, but a lot of them died, including, and Zeus did stop Ares, but Ares would still return. And then of course, Diana hears about the Great War when Trevor crash lands on Paradise Island and assumes that, she has to be the one to go fight Ares. And Hippolyta knows this, but, Hippolyta's a little hesitant, but eventually she relents and lets Diana leave. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about Ares for now. Another good thing that I loved about this movie was a lot of the dialogue. I think my favorite exchange of the dialogue, though, has to be after Diana killed Ludendorff. Of course, at the time, she believed Ludendorff to be Ares, and she thought that, just by killing Ares would end the war. Everyone would be back to normal, like, oh, hey, why are we doing this? I don't know, let's go be friends with everyone, yay! But that wasn't the case, and it turns out, basically, after she kills Ludendorff, she looks around, and German soldiers are still loading up the planes with with Dr. Poison's new deadly gas, and she's shocked by this. And then Steve talks to her, and it's like, wait, we gotta stop these guys, but she doesn't really want to because she doesn't understand how, if she killed Ares, then why are they still evil? And Steve kind of explains to her that, maybe it's not Ares, it's not what, there's like no, you can't just take out one big bad guy and then everything goes to peace. No, it's men, there are some bad guys, but there are also some good guys, and and it is very nice exchange, and it is a very cool exchange, very nice exchange of dialogue where Steve kind of like, tells Diana there are some people that are bad, but there are also people that are good. Good and humanity really isn't as black and white as you think. Okay, not exactly a word for word interpretation, but if you saw the movie, you would understand. You'd probably understood why I like that scene a lot. And even though I love that scene, I think my favorite overall sequence of the movie was the No Man's Land sequence. Right after Diana refuses to tell Steve that she's not going to leave the village until everyone's free and that she stops the soldiers, and so she decides to walk across No Man's Land. Like that entire sequence, like the minute you see Diana climbing the ladder, entering out of the trenches, trekking across No Man's Land, taking out all the machine guns, then when she gets to the village and she starts actively taking out soldiers, and you hear the part of the Wonder Woman theme we heard from Dawn of Justice start at that moment, as she's taking out every single soldier. It is brilliant. That was my favorite part of the movie. First time I saw it, I loved it. Then when I saw it the second time, it still got me by surprise, and like I felt like I was watching it again for the first time, which was impressive. And to me, it really like shows who Diana's character is. She's someone that's not just motivated to stop evil, but to protect the innocent. Okay, the last thing that I do want to bring up, positive thing that I want to bring up, is the death of Steve Trevor. That was completely unexpected. Well, basically, the frame story is that Diana's in Paris in the modern day, and she gets a package from Wayne Industries, and it's from Batman, obviously, and it's the original photo taken from her, Steve, Chief, Charlie, and Sammy after they helped liberate the village. And it's the photo that we saw in Dawn of Justice, and basically Bruce Wayne tracked down the original and sent it back to Diana, and that's basically what triggers the story of memory. And in fact, I basically had this idea that at the very beginning of the story, I kind of thought, oh wait, she's probably gonna give Steve's probably gonna be alive in an old folks home somewhere, and she's gonna deliver the picture to him or something. But then when he dies then Steve dies, sacrificing himself to make sure that the plane carrying Dr. Poison's gas doesn't reach the Allied army. is basically he sacrifices himself to stop the plane to make sure that explodes before reaching its destination. Of course, Diana and Steve's final moments leading up to this, Diana is right in the middle of her fight with Ares, and right when Steve comes up to her to like explain what he's doing and stuff, Diana can't really hear him because she suffered some hearing loss during the fight. And then he explains it to, and then Steve's kind of like explaining it to her, and she can't quite understand it. But then Steve gives her his watch and takes off in the plane, and then bam, he sacrifices himself and saves the day. And at that point, Diana just gives into her full Amazon rage, takes out like every single German soldier, but then Ares presents Dr. Maru to her and pretty much tries to get her to kill Maru because, you know, he's trying to get her on her side. And right when she's about to do it, about to kill Dr. Poison, she suddenly remembers what Steve said. And, you know, basically Steve pretty much tells her that, you know, he's gonna try to stop the gas explosion, and that while he can save the day, Diana could save everyone. And ultimately, remembering Steve's final words is what gets Diana to snap out of it and finally end Ares once and for all. And that's all. And that's basically what I loved about the story. Overall, this movie was spectacular. Wonder Woman is definitely the best DCEU to date. I think the tone of this movie, how it represents hope and how it's much more brighter, kind of tells that Warner Brothers and DC definitely listened to fans that were complaining about Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad, and they finally decided, okay, let's fix these things. Hopefully, this point forward, the rest of the DCU will be just as good as this movie. I haven't, if you still haven't seen this movie yet, go do it immediately while it's still in theaters. Otherwise, pre-order the Blu-rays, DVDs, whatever, when they become available. That's all I'm saying about the Wonder Woman movie. What'd you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. If you want to see what other videos I have, I also do a ton of some other movie reviews. If you want to check those out, check out the rest of my channel. Remember to stay subscribed and notified. I'm Spider-Man 1991 saying see you later.